This is a response video to Everyday Damn Fitness on his uh, videos basically on Tess Holiday and the body positivity movement. So for those who don't know who Tess Holiday is, this is her right here. She's like a body positive activist. She's probably one of the bigger ones, and like bigger, not bigger ones specifically. I mean, bigger ones in the sense of she is the more popular. Moving on. So I totally agree with you on the health at every size movement is basically, I agree with your position that it is unhealthy and they are indirectly and sometimes directly promoting obesity, and they are ironically promoting unrealistic beauty standards for those women who look up to people like Tess Holiday or even men, as he would have to get up to her weight essentially to get to her look, and that is an unrealistic beauty standard. But again, it's really not much different from starving yourself to get to an unhealthy body fat. And I'm glad you care enough about Tess Holiday enough to express the idea that she's unhealthy and try to get her to be healthy, and that she should look into look into the future for her kids. And I, again, totally agree with you on that. But how consistent are you with the idea of being healthy or promoting healthy lifestyles? I'm sure as you, I'm sure as you're a strength coach, you probably promote, weightlifting. You probably promote being healthy in general, eating right. Well, I'm sure you also write diet plans for people. The lifestyle choices she's making, in your own words, are causing her or could cause people heart disease, cancer, diabetes, etc. Well, what if I told you the lifestyle choices you're making right now are doing the same exact thing? However, I actually have proof of this. Um, I'll show you those studies in a second. Um, and I'll link them below as well, so you can read them. I'm not expecting you to, pause the video and read, every single part of it, or even read the entire study. I'm just going to show you proof of my position here in a second. Now, I don't blame you for not knowing these things or reading them at all. I think if something's not broken, why fix it? If you've grown up not knowing something is unhealthy or wrong, you probably won't understand it that it's wrong, or you won't know why. Um, for example, like if you are a teenager and you grew up with acne, or I mean, if you're a teenager and you never had acne, you probably didn't look into acne at all. You probably don't know much about it. You probably don't know how to treat it or anything like that because you didn't have it, so you didn't have that to worry about. But I'm very curious to see what your position would be after showing you the studies that I have that show that your lifestyle choices are causing exactly what you're claiming Tess Holiday. Not exactly, not everything, but a good majority, at least of the things that I listed out there. Um, Now, I don't necessarily blame Tess Holiday too much. I don't know what her intentions are. Like, I don't know if she knows. I didn't really look into her too much because I don't really care about her. I don't care about her content or anything like that. Um, I don't know if she actually knows what she's doing is unhealthy, or if her body fat is, or the way how heavy she is so unhealthy. I don't know if she actually knows that. I don't know if she cares, but it would be really bad if she knew what she was doing is wrong and unhealthy, and by promoting it, she's basically promoting people to become uh, obese, have heart disease, get cancer, diabetes, etc. So that would be bad. But at the same time, the same thing again can be brought back to you. It would be really, really cool if I could get a response from you. I have watched a few of your videos in the past, as your channel is like related to Elgin Test and Intensity or whatever, whoever that guy is. You have like similar videos. So the first study I'm going to link to you is, let's do the cancer one. So there are a few. These are just two that I have on hand. that point to the compounds that are certain compounds that are in meat that directly lead to either cancer growth or actually create cancer directly. So the first one is 27 hydroxycholesterol, and this is basically a form of cholesterol, and this is found in meat. It is not found in any plant foods because plants don't contain animal cholesterol. Also, here is a thing called heme iron, and it is extremely inflammatory. It is extremely unhealthy for the gut, but specifically on cancer, it has been shown to actually cause certain types of cancers. Now let's move on to diabetes. Now, first thing I'm going to show you is this study, which looked at things like saturated fat, which are also found in animal products, something that I believe that you eat. It's also an oil as well, and it has been contributed to actually kill the beta cells in your pancreas, which produce insulin, which would in turn give you type 2 diabetes, because if your body can no longer produce insulin, then that would give you type 2 diabetes. And then for type 1, um, I believe that saturated fat also, and according to some doctors as well, certain things like saturated fat actually clog up your insulin receptors and have been shown to block out your body's ability to absorb insulin, and that would create, I believe, type 1 diabetes. Now, here's another study. This is just a summary. Again, I will link all this below if you want to read it at all, where it shows how saturated fat affects us on a molecular basis. So there's much more than just diabetes. There's tons of stuff in here. This is just a summary, of course. The actual full study is here, but it is pretty long, and there's a lot of terminology in it. So there's that. Also, you probably think that or have the idea that carbohydrates contribute to diabetes. Well, let me reference this very brief study. I can actually link to you the doctor that did this study and actually talks about what happens more in depth of the study. So basically, there was a group there were a group of people who were all diabetic, and these scientists put these people on a 45 and then an 85% carbohydrate diet. And what they actually used was sugar. They used sugar to test the diabetes idea of carbohydrates being contributed to diabetes or insulin resistance. And they actually improved their glucose levels, and apparently they also reversed their diabetes. I'm not sure in the study. It doesn't. This is just the abstract. It doesn't really say which diabetes they had. I think it just said they were diabetic or mild diabetes patients. So I don't even think. So yeah, again, they didn't really say. I can again link the video so you can get a more in-depth information on that. But they actually improved their glucose levels through eating carbohydrates. So there's more evidence to that if you don't trust these studies at all, whatever. Anyway, here's another thing that I want to show you where meat actually contributes to an increase in cholesterol. And I know you're probably thinking, well, I have a study here that has a link to eggs, the consumption of eggs, and diet and total cholesterol. Well, if you actually calculate someone's cholesterol score at a baseline of 0, or if you were to take someone who doesn't eat any meat at all and introduce any kind of cholesterol in their diet, so let's give them an egg, their cholesterol score would spike because of our body's lack of ability of regulating cholesterol very well. So there's that if you believe in the idea that high cholesterol is bad, but specifically talking on the aspect of LDL, here is a huge meta-analysis that I will, of course, link below as well, that showed that an increase in LDL had contributed to heart disease. I believe. I hope I didn't mess that one up. And here's another one that talks about specifically the lipoprotein LDL, um, which is associated with atherosclerosis in the absence of risk factors. So what this study did was they had they eliminated factors, probably such as like I don't really remember too much on this one, but I remember it's usually in studies like this they eliminate contributing factors that you would think that would cause heart disease, like smoking, obesity, etc. So this study showed that an increase in LDL, or a certain level of LDL, actually showed a progression of atherosclerosis. So with all that in mind, I hope that I get a response from you. It'd be really cool to see what your opinion would be, to see how consistent you are with promoting a healthy lifestyle. Yeah, that's about it. That's the end of this video.